Everyone, welcome to Sentinel. Today's topic is going to be an interesting one. It's about the government, specifically the Army, stealing money from our single enlisted troops. But before I start, I just want to remind everybody to hit a like and to subscribe or share the channel with your loved ones, with your ex, or with your mother-in-law. And so last week we spoke about the importance of leadership by walking around. And that's very, very important in the military. And Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, has been doing that by PTing, exercising with the troops. I think that's fantastic. In the last segment, we recommended that he go to the barracks, inspect those, because many of them are in shitty shape, and to go to the chow halls and see how they're doing in the chow hall and eat food with the troops. Unfortunately, because of the absence in leadership, both our barracks and our chow halls have degraded substantially. And this is a troop welfare issue, right? So every commander, every leader, every staff NCO, every officer, every NCO should be concerned about this issue. And the main reason is, not only is it a problem, but now we find out that the Army's been taking away money from the troops. Over $150 million of the BAS allowance, the basic allowance for substance, has been misappropriated by the Army. This is unconscionable. It's criminal, quite frankly. And the Secretary of Defense needs to really get into this and find out what the hell happened and who should be held accountable. And I realize that running a chow hall is not easy. I mean, you're making thousands of meals, and every day it's got to be standard. And, it's not an easy feat. So we shouldn't be taking money away from them. We should be actually adding to the money that our troops put into it. So a troop puts in about $460 a month that he gets or she gets for basic allowance of substance. Now that comes out to about $5,000 a year, which is about $15 a day that the troop contributes to his food and to the chow hall. Now this is a ridiculously small amount. You can't go to Taco Bell and get a meal for $5, right? $15 a day basically comes down to $5 a meal. You can't go to McDonald's and get a healthy meal for $5 or Taco Bell and whatnot. But the troops are not only doing that, so they're paying into the chow hall. And because the food sucks, then they go off to McDonald's and or somewhere else and go eat there. So they're actually paying twice for this to eat. So diverting funds from our chow halls is actually compounding the problem, when we should be adding funds to that. If the troops are putting in $15 a day, the military should be adding in another $15 or $10 more to make it a better meal, so more troops eat and they're excited about coming to lunch and dinner. And right now they're not. I mean, at Fort Carson, it was reported that they actually served. I've got a picture of this. I'll put it up. They actually served a piece of toast and a spoonful of lima beans for lunch. I mean, you got to be shitting me. We're the most powerful country on this planet, spending $850 billion, and this is what we feed our troops. The Army has a nutrition policy on what it's supposed to feed the soldiers, but it's really followed or outright ignored because there's not enough funding, not enough personnel, and not enough foot traffic. So the service went around and started investing in this kiosk, where a soldier can go in. This a cheap alternative, so they don't have to manage this chow hall. They just put up these kiosks and they put these meals in there, and it's a grab and go type snack, which is really akin to like the quality of a gas station. It's nonsense. I mean, if you're going to train hard, you need good nutrition, to keep those muscles fueled up. So what pisses me off is that we've got all these senior staff NCOs, especially sergeant majors, that hang around the commander and say, "Hey, I'm the commander's senior military advisor." Well, what does that mean? I still haven't figured out what that really means. If you're the senior military advisor, you should be in the chow halls supervising chow. That doesn't mean you have to go there and eat every day, but somebody needs to go pay a visit. Have your staff NCOs go into the chow hall and pay a visit. Same thing with officers. Go to the chow hall, pay a visit. Make sure troops are eating healthy, good food, and the quality and the place is clean. These are important leadership responsibilities. And the government, rather than matching funds, to improve the quality of the food, we're taking away money and then misappropriating. Nobody knows what happened to that $151 million. The Army's still trying to figure out where the hell that money went to. So I'll give you some examples. Like at Fort Stewart, Georgia, soldiers, they contributed $17 million to the food fund, right? And the base only spent $2.1 million. So what the hell happened to the $15 million? 87% of the funds disappeared. At Schofield Barracks in Hawaii, I've been there, nice place, The Army collected $14.5 million and only spent $5.3 million. which means 63% of the funds were used elsewhere. I mean, you got to be shitting me. We're stealing from our own troops. All but 2 bases left more than half the money on the table. So instead of $15 a day, they're spending like $7 a day on feeding our troops. Unbelievable. Unacceptable. This is criminal. In 2023, Fort Cavos in Texas, which is one of the Army's larger bases, only was able to keep 2 of the 10 chow halls open. Now, what does that mean? That means the troops have to drive across the base to go eat. And it's not feasible, right? Because then they have to buy a car or bum a ride or what have you. So we're closing these facilities because we can't maintain them because the food sucks and the troops don't want to go eat there. So we start shutting them down, which compounds the problem. Our chow halls, hands down, are run by some great military cooks. I've eaten there. I love to eat it. I like institutional food personally, and contract workers, right? But they need help because they have enough challenges of inventory. They have to maintain, budgeting, food preparation, and food safety. And they need help. And the best way to help them is give them the proper resources. Give them the money that needs to be. Instead of taking away money, we got to give them money. And by consolidating chow halls, we've actually made the problem worse. As I said, because the troops have to travel across space, so they're driving along to the chow hall, and along comes a PX. Guess what? They're going to pull in the PX and go to McDonald's, Taco Bell, or Subway, and then they end up paying twice for the same meal. They paid for the meal in the chow hall, then they're paying again out of their pocket in the PX. So the troops suffer, right? So there's less money going into their savings accounts. Go on YouTube right now or on TikTok, and you see the quality of the food. There's a ton of soldiers complaining about the quality of food. Meat is uncooked, unseasoned meals, lack of fresh ingredients. This starts happening is they just stop going. They're like, screw this. I'm not going to that damn chow hall to eat some crappy meal there when I can go eat at the PX. I'll give you some examples that we talked about. Fort Stewart, $17 million and only spending, $2 million. There's Fort Drum in New York, got $18 million from their soldiers and spent $3.9 million. So what happened to the rest of the money? Somebody needs to find out what the hell is going on. Fort Carson, we talked about that, where this, provided 1 slice of bread with a spoonful of lima beans. Fort Carson got $22 million and only spent $5 million on food. What the hell happened to the other $17 million? Where'd that money go? Elon Musk needs to get on his, Starship and get over to Fort Carson and find out what the hell exactly happened. This, to me, would be the number one issue. If we can't feed our troops, we got fundamental issues, okay? We got bigger problems on the horizon because an army travels on its stomach. That's a time-tested maxim. So, Fort Bliss in Texas. And Hexet was there 2 weeks back, and I hope he went to a chow hall to eat there, and his generals didn't, try to avoid the issue. Fort Bliss collected $22 million. That's a ton of money, right? And they only spent $11 million. So what happened to the other $11 million? I want to know. Our viewers want to know. Sentinel wants to know what the hell is going on here, okay? Fort Cavos in Texas, as we talked about, collected $42.5 million from his troops and spent $11 million. Where is the other $31 million? The world wants to know what is going on there, U.S. Army. It's just, this list is endless. I did so much research, I could keep going, for probably another 10 minutes, but I won't bore you with it. And another one's Fort Campbell, Kentucky. $18 million. They spent $5 million on food. So I'll give some recommendations here. I gave you a problem, and let's come up with some solution. So in my view, troops should be able to eat at any venue on base. Based on his CAT card, his ID card, he can go slide that ID card at a chow hall, or he can go slide that ID card at the PX, at McDonald's, Taco Bell, or Subway, or any other restaurant on base. So he can go spend, $5, $6, and he gets a discount of that amount, right? Something like that. So we need to come up with a system like that if we don't want to continue running these chow halls. But, and another thing would be that we tried when I was a battalion commander was, we worked a deal out with the chow hall. If a troop didn't want to eat in the mess hall, they could go get a barbecue pack, some chicken, a piece of meat. And then we had some barbecue pits around the area where they can go cook their own meal and hang out with their buddies, just to get out of that chow hall environment, that institutional environment. Maybe something like that. But I think to increase foot traffic, we have created these massive PXs really designed for the families, the married troops, right? But the PX, in my mind, we need to focus on our single enlisted troops because that's our largest population. And the way we do that is by making the chow hall the community center. And what I mean by that is when a troop goes to the chow hall, there ought to be a barber shop there. He can get his hair cut. There ought to be a small PX, a 7-day store where they can go buy their sundry supplies and what have you. And there probably needs to be a small bank teller or, a ATM machine type thing where the troop can do his transactions, right? So we need to find ways to attract more troops to come to the chow hall, not to only eat, but also take care of their other activities. I think that would increase foot traffic tremendously. Then the other thing I would recommend is, we've got, by some estimates, over 20,000 families in the military on food stamps. I mean, imagine this, the most powerful country on the freaking planet, and we got families on food stamps. Unconscionable, in my opinion, okay? Notably, Congress did increase their pay scale, so that's a great step forward, right? But let's take it a step further. So why can't we have families come in the evening and eat at a subsidized rate? So instead of them spending $5, $7, $10 at McDonald's, they can go to the chow hall for a subsidized rate around the same cost and eat a healthy meal. Why can't we do that? And we should be doing that. Encourage the families to come in the evenings to eat at the chow hall. I think that'd be fantastic. And in most cases, the wife has to come pick up the husband anyway because they have one car. They can go eat in the chow hall, have a date night, and then go home. So I think that would probably increase foot traffic. And the other thing I would definitely mandate that every officer and staff NCO must eat 3 meals a week in the chow hall. One has to be breakfast, one lunch, and one dinner. And these are at a subsidized rate. And the reason being is we got to get the staff NCOs and officers back in the chow hall. And once we do that, then we'd have a better understanding of what the problems are and come up with reasonable solutions. Very important. The bottom line is this. We give hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine and Israel to fight their damn wars when we can't feed our own troops. That is, to me, is just unconscionable and unacceptable, and we need to change this. So I would tell Pete Hegseth that, make this a priority, come up with a program to tell each service that their chow hall should be at a standard that is right there at Michelin star restaurant. And, my target would be that I want a service chow hall, either Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, whatever, to win a Michelin star. And if that means that we have to match funds instead of $15 a day, that the military needs to double it to $30 a day to give the best quality food to our troops and to encourage other troops to come and eat, that's what we got to do. I mean, that's the most important thing. Stealing food money from our soldiers is not how we're going to achieve military readiness or improve retention or recruiting. We got to have the best damn chow halls in the world. And we got to have the best damn barracks in the world. That's how we encourage young people to join, because what's happening is all this stuff's on social media. And, these young kids go out there and they're researching social media. Which service should I join? Should I join the Marines? They have the best looking uniform. I want to be Navy SEAL because I want to be tough. Or I want to go in the Air Force, aim high, what have you. Or I want to be in the Army, the big Army. And be in Delta Force, and this is the type of stuff young people think about. And these are their goals and aspirations, and I think it's fantastic. But then when they go on social media and they start clicking through these videos and they see the crappy meal, a slice of bread and some freaking lima beans, and they see cockroaches and barracks with mold and stuff, they want nothing to do with it. Screw that shit. If I was a young kid, I'd rather just stay in McDonald's and just keep flipping burgers, man, instead of putting up with this nonsense. So we got to up our game. We've let down the force, quite frankly, and I'm with Pete Hegseth on this. These are the fundamentals of leadership that we got to get back down to the basics. And our general officers need to get back into the damn chow halls, and they got to get into the barracks, and they got to really figure out what the hell's going on and fix the problem. And there's a lot of good generals that are doing it. But, the military went through this culture nonsense in 2000s and stuff where, we don't want to impinge on the privacy of our troops and all that. That's horse shit. Troops want leadership. They want hard-ass, good leadership, compassionate leadership, fair leadership. And if you want to talk about compassionate, there's nothing more compassionate you can do than going in the chow hall and eating chow. Tell us your experiences with the military chow halls and share any ideas that you may have to improve the quality of the meals and make it easily accessible for the young troops to be able to go eat at these chow halls. What can we do better to improve the conditions for our troops? And by certainly, I'm not saying we need to coddle anybody. That's not my style. That's not the way I led. But we certainly have to take care of them. I think that's the most important thing. If you train them hard, you can't put them away wet and hungry. You got to take care of them. You got to take care of their gear, take care of their equipment, take care of their barracks, and take care of their chow. As I said, there's a great maxim: an army travels on its stomach. And if we can't feed our troops, yet spend billions of dollars overseas, that's just horse shit, in my opinion. That's all I got. Stay rugged, stay united. Khan out.